The Celestial Nexus Hotel floated in the void between star systems, a shimmering monument to interstellar luxury. Its crystalline spires caught the light of 3 distant suns, creating rainbows that danced across its translucent walls. For 2 centuries, it had been the crown jewel of the Draconian Empire's hospitality industry, a place where the galaxy's elite came to spend their wealth. Harry walked through the main entrance with the measured gait of someone who had seen too much combat. His simple gray jacket bore no insignia, no medals, no indication of the 30 years he'd spent in humanity's stellar defense corps. The scars on his hands told a different story, but most beings never looked that closely. The lobby stretched upward for what seemed like miles, its ceiling a holographic display of swirling nebulae. Guests from a dozen species lounged on anti-gravity couches, Silurian merchants with their 6 eyes, Zenthi diplomats whose skin changed color with their moods, and everywhere dragons. The Draconians had built this empire on the backs of their conquered worlds, and they never let anyone forget it. "Welcome to the Celestial Nexus," chirped an automated greeter, its spherical body hovering at eye level. "How may we serve you today?" "I have a reservation," Harry said quietly. "Conference Room 7, the board meeting." The bot's lights flickered as it scanned its database. "I'm sorry, sir, but I show no reservation under your designation." Harry pulled out his hollow tablet displaying the confirmation. "It's right here, sent 3 weeks ago." "One moment, please." The bot floated toward the main desk, where a towering Draconian stood watching the exchange with undisguised contempt. Elsa was magnificent even by dragon standards. Her scales shimmered like polished emeralds, and her eyes held the golden gleam of molten metal. As the hotel's general manager, she ruled her domain with an iron claw, and she had little patience for what she considered lesser species. "What seems to be the problem?" Her voice was silk wrapped around steel. The greeter bot explained the situation. Elsa's eyes narrowed as she looked at Harry, her forked tongue tasting the air. "A human, of course." She tapped at her console with one elegant claw. "I see the issue. Your reservation was made under a corporate account that has been suspended." "Suspended?" Harry's voice remained calm, but something shifted in his posture. "On whose authority?" "Mine." Elsa smiled, revealing teeth that could tear through starship hull plating. "The Draconian Empire has certain standards. We cannot allow just anyone to use our facilities for their little meetings." The contract was signed and paid for in full. "And now it is cancelled." Elsa leaned forward, her massive form casting Harry in shadow. "Perhaps you should try the human quarter. I'm sure there's a suitable establishment among the cargo processing stations." Other guests had stopped their conversations to watch. A Zenthi diplomat's skin flushed orange with amusement. 2 Draconian businessmen chuckled, their deep voices rumbling like distant thunder. Harry took a slow breath. "I'd like to speak with the owner." "The owner?" Elsa's laugh was like breaking glass. "The owner is a Draconian matriarch who hasn't set foot in this hotel in 50 years. She entrusts its operation to me. Now, I suggest you leave before I have security escort you out." "I'm not leaving without my conference room." Elsa's eyes flashed. In one fluid motion, her clawed hand lashed out and slapped Harry across the face. The crack echoed through the lobby like a gunshot. Harry's head snapped to the side and he staggered back 2 steps. The lobby went silent. Harry straightened slowly, touching his cheek where 4 lines of blood welled up. He looked at the crimson on his fingertips, then at Elsa. His expression hadn't changed. "That," he said quietly, "was a mistake." Elsa laughed again. "What are you going to do, little human? File a complaint? The Empire doesn't care about your feelings." Harry reached into his jacket. Security drones immediately locked onto him, their weapons charging with a high-pitched whine. But he only pulled out his hollow tablet again, tapping through several screens. "Computer," he said, his voice carrying in the silence. "Authorization code, November Tango 77 Alpha Zulu. Confirm identity. Harold James Morrison, Admiral, retired, Terran Stellar Defense Corps. Access Corporate Holdings Database. The hotel's main computer chimed. Identity confirmed. Welcome, Admiral Morrison. Elsa's smile faltered. Display majority shareholders of Celestial Nexus Holdings Corporation, Harry continued. A holographic list materialized in the air above the front desk. Elsa stared at it, her golden eyes widening. At the top of the list, Morrison Investment Trust, 67% ownership. That's impossible, Elsa whispered. 3 months ago, Harry said, still touching his bleeding cheek, humanity negotiated a treaty with the Draconian Empire. Part of that treaty involved the sale of certain Imperial assets to pay for war reparations. The Celestial Nexus was one of them. Your former owner was very motivated to sell. He tapped his tablet again. Computer, what is my current position with this corporation? You are the majority shareholder and acting CEO, Admiral Morrison. Elsa's scales had gone pale. Around the lobby, the other dragons had gone very still. Harry looked at his tablet, noting the time. 8 minutes ago, I was assaulted by an employee of my company. Computer, pull up personnel files for all management staff present in the lobby at this time. Files displayed. Harry scanned through them, his expression hardening with each entry. Discrimination lawsuits, harassment complaints, labor violations, all swept under the rug. He looked up at Elsa. How many species work in this hotel? 12, the computer replied. How many are in management positions? 1 Draconian. Harry nodded slowly. Computer, effective immediately, terminate the employment of Elsa Drakesworth, General Manager. Terminate employment of all Draconian management staff. Notify the board that we'll be conducting a full review of hearing practices and implementing immediate diversity reforms. Confirmed, termination notices sent. Elsa's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Her claws scraped against the desk. You can't, this is my hotel. Was your hotel, Harry corrected. Now it's mine, and I don't tolerate people who put their hands on others. Security, please escort Ms. Drakesworth from the premises. The security drones, now recognizing his authority, surrounded Elsa. She looked around desperately at the other guests, but even her fellow dragons avoided her gaze. This isn't over, she hissed as the drones guided her toward the exit. The Empire won't stand for this. The Empire already agreed to it, Harry called after her. It's in Section 14 of the Peace Treaty. I suggest you read it. As Elsa disappeared through the crystalline doors, Harry turned to the assembled staff and guests. The greeter bot hovered nervously nearby. Attention all employees, Harry announced. There will be a mandatory staff meeting in 1 hour. We're going to discuss some changes around here, starting with a new mission statement. Everyone is welcome at the Celestial Nexus. Everyone. The Zenthite diplomat approached, his skin now a respectful blue. Admiral Morrison, I had no idea. Most people don't, Harry said, dabbing at his face with a handkerchief. That's intentional. I prefer to see how people act when they think I'm nobody important. He smiled grimly. It's very educational. He turned to the greeter bot. Now about my conference room. Right away, sir. The bot spun in excited circles. Conference Room 7 is being prepared immediately, with our sincerest apologies and complimentary refreshments. As Harry walked toward the elevators, he passed a young human woman in a staff uniform, one of the cleaning crew, judging by her equipment. She stared at him with wide eyes. Sir, she called out hesitantly, is it true? Are things really going to change? Harry stopped and turned to face her. He saw hope in her eyes, mixed with the weariness of someone who had been pushed down too many times. Yes, he said firmly, things are going to change, starting today. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, sir. As Harry stepped into the elevator, he looked back at the lobby one last time. The holographic nebulae swirled overhead, beautiful and indifferent. But below them, he could see something shifting. The staff members standing a little straighter, the whispered conversation spreading like wildfire. The doors closed and Harry allowed himself a small smile. 30 years in the Defense Corps had taught him many things: how to fight, how to survive, how to lead. But the most important lesson: power means nothing if you don't use it to protect those who have none. 8 minutes, that's all it had taken to change everything. The celestial nexus would shine again, but this time it would shine for everyone.